Heavy security presence outside the Federal High Court, Abuja, is indicative of the magnitude of the case at hand. Inside the court, years of legal battle is culminating to the judgment in the trial of the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu. The defendant is in the court with his friends and family ahead of the commencement of the proceeding. At the beginning of the hearing, the judge dismissed 3 fresh motions filed by Kanu for lacking merit. Kanu had argued that the court could not proceed with the judgment for the day because he was yet to file his final written address. Things quickly degenerated as Kanu accused the judge of being biased, claiming that he did not know the law.
A lot have been said concerning Nnamdi Kanu's incarceration and how a lot of people consider it as a lesser offense, consider the fact that we have bandits that continue to kill a lot of people in the north, and they are being set free under the guise of amnesty. Some people even call for amnesty for Nnamdi Kanu. They call for political solution for Nnamdi Kanu, and so many more. But of course, if we are to look at it in the area of the legal angle, the Kanu may not really win this battle because there's a lot of politics embedded in this matter, and the best solution is to call for political. The best thing is to call for political solution. But of course, a lot of people also we also come up with arguments that the Southeast leaders are not paying much attention on this Nnamdi Kanu's case, most especially areas that we have key notable figures are not paying attention. Of course, we have Dr. Alex Oti of Abia State saying that they are working harder to ensure that a political solution is considered.
ECOWAS, the Economic Community of West African States, has officially set its sights on Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra. A delegation from ECOWAS is set to meet with Kanu in Sokoto, where he is currently being held as part of an ongoing investigation into his detention. The delegation will likely look into whether the conditions surrounding his arrest, trial, and detention have been fair and in line with international human rights standards. Is a serious move. And it shows that ECOWAS isn't just going to let things slide, they are going to dig deeper and see if justice is being served. But why is this so important? Well, ECOWAS stepping in adds a whole new layer of attention to the case. This isn't just about Nigeria anymore, it's about how the country's justice system is perceived across the region. If ECOWAS, a respected regional body, says that something isn't right, it sends a strong message to the international community. This could have ripple effects in other countries within West Africa. While Kanu's supporters are celebrating the ECOWAS involvement, the Nigerian government and many of its officials have been quick to defend the legal process that led to Kanu's detention. They argue that he was tried according to the law, that the courts have spoken, and that the government is simply enforcing the law. To them, the idea of a pardon or outside intervention doesn't sit well. They believe that this is about maintaining order and following due process. However, the tension is rising because this case has become about more than just one man's fate. It's about a broader debate on justice, governance, and the rights of citizens. Kanu has become a symbol of a much larger issue: the growing disconnect between the government and certain segments of the Nigerian population, especially in the southeast. This issue has the potential to ignite long-standing tensions, and ECOWAS is well aware of this. When you think about it, it's not just about Nnamdi Kanu, it's about the people who believe in him. It's about the people who feel left behind, unheard, and oppressed. These are people who have been pushing for changes in the political structure for years. And Kanu's imprisonment has only intensified their frustrations. It's no wonder that his case has sparked protests, petitions, and even calls for Biafra's independence. What's interesting here is that ECOWAS has the power to influence not just Nigeria's legal system, but the entire political landscape in the region. They've been involved in mediating disputes and upholding peace across West Africa for decades. So when they step in like this, it brings a sense of legitimacy to the calls for justice. And if the delegation's findings lead to significant pressure on the Nigerian government, it could be a turning point. Let's also talk about the government's position for a moment. President Tinubu and his administration have been facing a lot of heat over this. Some are saying that the government should do more to show that it's listening to the concerns of the Southeast. Others argue that as much as this is a political issue, the law must take precedence. There's a belief that bending the law for political reasons could set a dangerous precedent. The government is stuck in a delicate balance here. They need to manage the pressure from both the local and international community while keeping the rule of law intact. The question on everyone's mind is, what will happen next? How will ECOWAS intervention change the game? If they find that Kanu's detention hasn't been fair, will it lead to his release? Or will the government stand firm and say that the legal process must run its course? We don't have all the answers yet, but what we do know is that this issue isn't going away anytime soon. Now let's look at some potential outcomes. If ECOWAS determines that Kanu has been unfairly treated, they could recommend a complete review of his case or even call for his release. However, that's not something that can be easily done, especially when the Nigerian government is determined to enforce its laws. But the international pressure could be a game changer. If ECOWAS and other global bodies like the UN or AU throw their weight behind Kanu's supporters, the Nigerian government might have no choice but to reconsider its stance. There's also the possibility that the Nigerian government could try to find a middle ground. They might not fully release Kanu, but they could allow for a more transparent hearing, or perhaps even pardon him under certain conditions. This would allow them to save face politically while also appeasing the international community. But whatever happens, the story is far from over. Kanu's supporters aren't going anywhere, and the government isn't backing down either. The spotlight is firmly on Nigeria right now. How President Tinubu handles this situation could very well define his presidency, especially with the 2026 elections on the horizon. If he fails to act in a way that resonates with the people, he could face significant backlash. But if he handles this with wisdom and diplomacy, he could turn this into a moment of reconciliation. The tension is palpable and the stakes are incredibly high. ECOWAS has already made its move. Now all eyes are on Nigeria to see how it responds.